Joining us all the way from Sydney, Australia is Steve Killelea. He is the founder and executive director of the Institute for Economics and Peace, and he is the author of Peace in the Age of Chaos. Steve, thank you for joining us today.
It's my pleasure to be here, Tony.
Maybe you could start just by explaining what your institute is and what it does?
Sure, okay. So the Institute for Economics and Peace was created to understand the intersection between business, peace and economics. It places special emphasis on metrics to measure peace, then to ascribe an economic value to changes in peace. And from that was where we started. But we've got a number of different products. We've got the Global Peace Index, which is the world's leading measure of global peacefulness. We've got the Global Terrorism Index, that's used by most of the security agencies around the world. And then we've also got studies on the economic value of peace. And then we've also got this concept called positive peace, which sort of the attitudes, institutions and structures which create and sustain peaceful societies. And that, I think, in many ways is probably in the long run will be the most profound contribution the Institute for Economics and Peace will make.
So I'm interested just to get some definitions nailed down here. What does constitute peace and what constitutes the absence of peace or war or violence? I'd love to get some definitions at the outset.
Sure. Now, look, I think it's a great place to start, Tony. There's so many different definitions of the peace. So I won't run through them, but you can have inner peace, which is the absence of afflictive emotion. Then there's a peace, which you hear, let's say, the end of the Second World War, it's just the stop where war stops. So what we realised that sort of the definition you use for peace is relevant to the outcome which you're trying to look at to try and achieve. So for the Global Peace Index, the idea is to just measure the level of peacefulness of countries. So what we do there is we look for the absence of violence or fear of violence for the definition of peace there. Now, that's fine, and it's really, really important because you can rank the countries of the world. Now, you can do a lot of statistical analysis around what's associated with peace. But none of that will actually help create a more peaceful society necessarily. So what are the background conditions under which peace arrives, and particularly resilience and resilient peace? That's called positive peace, and we use a definition there, the attitudes, institutions and structures which create or sustain peaceful societies.
So it's not just a state of mind or a state of being. What you're saying is there have to be structures in place, I'm presuming both nationally and internationally, in order to improve the perspective of peace?
Yes, that's right. So what we've done at the Institute, so seeing we've got the Global Peace Index, and it ranks about 99.7% of the world's population. What we've got is about, it depends how we slice and dice it, but between 25,000 and 50,000 different data sets, indexes, attitudinal surveys. So we run a whole lot of mathematical modelling, statistical analysis against the Global Peace Index to understand what are the factors most closely associated with highly peaceful societies. And that's what we call positive peace. Now, we use other mathematical techniques now to take and clump them and now build them into this 8-pillar topology which describes what you need to create a peaceful society. We turn that back around to another index called a positive peace index. But something really profound at the back end came out of this, Tony. And basically what we started with peace, but what we found is the same structures which create a highly peaceful society also create a whole lot of other things which we think are really important. So the same structures create a higher GDP growth. Countries high in positive peace perform much better on measures of well-being and happiness, perform better on measures of ecology and also measures of inclusion. So what we realised in many ways, positive peace described an optimal environment from which human potential can flourish. But having this index, not only does it give us insights into peace and the other things I've mentioned, we found it's really good at being able to measure the resilience of a society. In other words, its ability to be able to hit and then recover from shocks.